I received an email this morning from a friend. I'll call him John because, well, that's his name. He sent the email last night and I saw it this morning, and he asked a question that I thought was worth making a video about. And then I started working on, well, how deep into this am I going to get? And it has to do with VPN services. There's a lot of advertisements and there's a lot of opinions thrown about VPN services. And I am not a security expert. I do know some things about the subject. So I'm going to try to take you through that to the extent that you're interested. The first part of this video will perhaps satisfy some of you enough, and you don't need to watch the rest, because the rest is going to get kind of into the nuts and bolts and nitty gritty, and you might not be interested. So the bottom line of why people seem to be concerned about privacy on the internet has to do with targeted advertising and the creepy sense that you get with the idea that companies are watching what you do. So people will say that they search for certain things and then they start seeing advertisements for that thing over the next period of hours or days. And it just feels creepy that somebody is watching. Well, it's computers that are watching, it's not people. And it is for the purpose of targeting advertisements to you. I kind of like targeted advertising because, take it back to when I was, I think it was probably 21 years old, 22 years old, I started getting mail in the US mail for AARP. That's Association of Retired Persons, or is it American Association of Retired Persons? What is AARP? Some of you know that already. AARP member benefits. What is AARP? Okay, come on. It's got a 21-year-old kid should not be getting U.S. mail for retirement literature, and I was getting that. That's because they didn't have good advertisement targeting back then. And actually, in some places, I'd like to have better targeted. For instance, Netflix. Netflix keeps trying to offer me foreign language films. I never watch them. How do they not know that I don't want to watch those? So anyway, let's get back on topic. Virtual private networks. That's what VPN stands for. And there are a lot of people, either technical people or non-technical people, that seem to get a strong opinion on one side or the other. And I fall a little more on the side that, no, I don't think you need to have that. But it really depends upon why are you interested. For some people, yes, they want to do that. One person I know, he wants to watch anime. Anime is I think Japanese kind of cartoon type of videos. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not available so much in the US. It's more available if you are connecting to a video service and you appear to be connecting from Japan. So with a VPN, you can do that. With a VPN, you can make it look to websites out on the internet that you are connecting to them from some other country or some other location than where you are connecting. And people claim, the VPN services claim, that this protects your privacy. Well, it protects a certain little piece of your privacy. It doesn't protect all of it. And that's where the big problem comes, in my opinion, because people will think that it's giving them more protection than it actually is. So let me show you this email. I've got it blurred out mostly because I don't want to identify my friend. He did not give me permission to expose his question on the internet. I didn't bother asking him. I don't think we need to go to that extent. But anyway, this highlighted portion, he's saying, we've been told that we need a VPN for all of our computers and iOS devices. iOS is Apple devices. Do you have an idea of a good one? Between office and home, we have 6 devices. After much research, we found one called Surfshark, which is user-friendly and reasonable in monthly charges. Do you recommend any one brand? As skeptical as I am about all these type of things, I'm not convinced how well they work, and how can we trust that these VPNs aren't monitoring our web surfing habits and selling our info, etc. Am I being too skeptical? Do these things have some value? Do you have an opinion? Well, we can answer pretty well all of those points in there, I think pretty thoroughly. Now, I've got a bunch of tabs open over here because I did some searches on the subject and been looking around at things. So let's start with this one. VPN service comparison chart. I did a Google search for VPN service comparison chart, and let's get back up here to the top of this screen. Top 5 VPN services, top 10, and so on. Compare the best VPN services for 2021. I'll right click on that and click on open a new tab. I right click on it so it gets into a new tab so I can come back to this search page if I want to. And here what we have is a list of VPN services. Now this search result took me to PC Mag. I don't think this window is finished drawing yet. Notice up here PC Mag wants to show notifications. I can allow that or block it. Now, if I had got to this website by using a VPN service, and if I answered allow, then at that point the VPN service is not protecting my privacy at all, because I am allowing PC Mag to interact directly with me. So the VPN service would not be blocking that. The VPN service does claim to limit pop-ups, but these pop-ups can be even limited just within the browser, so that part isn't worth much. So I'm going to say block, and what it's showing us here is there's NordVPN, private internet access, and Surfshark. There's the one that my friend asked about. CyberGhost, and then there's this arrow here to the right, so I can go look at some more. Then come back here to the beginning of this, and up here at the top says best for general users, best for power users, best for security maximalists, best for network tinkerers, and so on. So John apparently has focused in on this one called Surfshark, and it claims, or this PC Magazine claims, it's best for security maximalists. And one of the reasons I think he's interested is because it allows unlimited devices per account. And John said he has 6 devices, but this monthly price allows for unlimited devices. So let's go look closer at Surfshark. I'll go click on this tab, or I think I have their main landing page. Yes, up here in the address bar you see it's surfshark.com. So secure your digital life, private access to the open internet, and they've got a button here for Get Surfshark. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and see what they claim about themselves. Access content safely. And this image right here, they're showing a type of situation where on YouTube, they're showing YouTube here, says this video is not available in your country. So if you occasionally go into YouTube and you're looking for videos and you get this kind of message, YouTube is blocking that video because of the country that you're connecting from, then a VPN service could help you, because a VPN service can let you appear as if you're connecting to YouTube from a different country, so that content would not be blocked. If you experience that type of problem, then a VPN service is a good choice for you. Well, if you experience that and you want to access that content, then a VPN service could be a good choice for you. Enjoy everything good that the internet has to offer worry-free. Get instant secured access to all the content you love. So that is one reason, a valid reason, to use a VPN service. Leave no footprints. Use Surfshark to make sure your location is private and your sensitive data is secure at all times. That's a little misleading. Over here on the right it says, "Hi, we see you're in Sacramento, United States." Well, the way they see that is from the IP address that your computer shows that it is from. IP addresses are generally geographic, and they indicate a geographic location. So if you want to be able to go to websites and you don't want them to know a general location of where you're at, then a VPN service could be a good idea for you. Now, this idea about leaving no footprints, that's a little extreme. You're not preventing all of your footprints, and we'll get into that a little bit more as we get deeper into the weeds. Your sensitive data is secure at all times. That is really excessive to make that claim. For instance, if you do online banking, and if your bank has a data breach and the bad guys get hold of your account credentials, the fact that you used a VPN is absolutely irrelevant. It does not protect your sensitive data at all in that environment, because your sensitive data is elsewhere. It's not going through your connection to your bank in the occasion of a data breach. Okay? The data that goes through your connection from your home to the VPN location, wherever it is, that is encrypted in a way that your local internet service provider cannot see what's going through. And any hackers that are located between your home and the VPN location, they would not be able to access the data that's on that stream. But once your data goes from the VPN location in another country to your bank's website, that's not protected by the VPN tunnel or pipe. Now, you know what? Towards the beginning of this, I said some of you are going to get to a certain extent in here and you're going to say, okay, that's enough. I've heard enough. I'm not going to go down the road of VPN. This is that point, probably a little while ago. The rest of this is getting more into the weeds, more of the detail of what does a VPN actually do for you and how much does it actually protect your data if you really understand what that is and where it occurs. And we're going to get into that a little bit. So if you want to know more of the details, then stick with me a bit. Now, let's talk a little bit about what a VPN does. I think I can use an analogy that would help you understand a VPN. Let's suppose you're in the 8th grade and your name is, what am I going to say? I'm going to pick the name Clark. You're Clark and you're sitting in the upper front right of a classroom, and you know way back in the back row on the left-hand side of the classroom is Jane. So we've got Clark and Jane. Clark wants to pass a note to Jane. So he takes a piece of paper and writes his message to Jane and then folds it and puts Jane's name on the piece of paper. And then he hands it to the person next to him. And that person sees the name Jane, hands it to somebody else. That person said, what's he saying? Can read what Clark is saying to Jane. And then goes ahead and passes it along. And the note gets all the way back to Jane. That was not encrypted. That was in plain text. Anybody along the path could read it. Okay? So now what if Clark writes in code? A little bit of code. It's not quite so obvious what he's saying in the message, but on the front, after he folds the paper, has got to write her name on it to get to her. So pass it to the next person, pass it to the next person, third, fourth person down the road, they can see, oh, this is going to Jane. And it's got a, well, I'm going to have to take some liberties with the analogy. It says who it's from, too. So the person can know that it's from Clark to Jane, but opens up and they can't understand what's being said. That's encrypted. So it gets over to Jane. But everybody along between those 2 points knows where it came from and where it went to. They know what time this happened. Then let's suppose we get a little more clever and Clark is got an agreement with somebody that's in the middle of the classroom. What's his name? Bill. And Bill has agreed to help Clark with this. So Clark writes the encrypted message that's intended for Jane, but he puts Bill's name on the outside of it. When that note gets passed to Bill, all the people in between those 2 points, they don't know that that message is really going to Jane. When Bill receives that message, he knows that that message is intended to go to Jane. Maybe Bill writes a little code at the beginning of the text that Bill knows the code for that destination and knows, oh, okay, he wants us to go to Jane, but Bill still doesn't understand the content because that's encrypted. So Bill passes it on to Jane. Jane responds, passes a note back to Bill. So everybody between Bill and Jane knows where that's going to and from, but they don't know that Jane is sending a message back to Clark. So then Bill can send that response from Jane all the way back to Clark. The people between Clark and Bill don't really understand the true source and the true destination. Well, actually they see the true source, but not the true destination. So anyway, that is how Bill's role is the VPN service. It's a virtual private network where Clark has a virtual private network with Jane. Bill can send messages to Jane without the people between Clark and Bill knowing that it's going to Jane. So that's the idea behind a VPN service, an analogy. It's not a perfect analogy, but it's pretty decent. So let's come back here and look at Surfshark. Leave no footprints. Well, make sure your location is private and your sensitive data is secure. Well, the part about your location is private. When that message gets all the way to Jane, Jane doesn't really know where Clark is by virtue of what's in that note. All she knows is the note is going back to Bill. And then it's got to go on to Clark. I suppose even you could twist the analogy a little bit such that the message that Clark writes to Jane might appear to Jane as actually coming from Bill, so that Clark keeps his identity secret even from Jane. Now that little twist on that analogy doesn't work in the classroom, but it does work on the internet, so that you can communicate with a website and that website does not know or understand who you are because they think they're communicating with whatever computer is at the VPN's location. All right, so here, use Surfshark to make sure your location is private. The website that you're communicating with never gets to see your IP address because the website thinks they're communicating with the VPN computer. All right, so that is pretty much all the stuff on the Surfshark homepage. There's this part up here, there's this part here, and there's this part here. And they just keep it that simple. Now there's a little bit more down here. You see these dots. And that is just that these different comments from people are saying different things about Surfshark. You can see these dots moving. So there's 4 different comments on here and it's circulating between them. That one was Tech Radar. So when it gets back to the second dot, that should be Tech Radar again. See if it is. Yep, it is. So they're just rotating those same ones. All right, now let's come up here to the next tab that I have for Surfshark. This is showing, go up to the top of this one. Well, here's those 3 different sections again, but then I got to a page here that has more. Verified security. To sum up, Cure 53 is highly satisfied to see such a strong security posture. So this is essentially a testimonial from some organization called Cure 53. Down here they say, without a VPN, you are exposed to real online threats. Now here are some misleading things, I think. Hacking. You're exposed to real online threats, such as hacking. Data thieves look for unprotected devices, and those that do not use encryption are easy targets. This is kind of a stretch to be saying that a VPN is going to protect you against this. It's just telling you this is something that the black hat hackers, the bad hackers out there are good hackers that are helpful to the internet, but the bad hackers are data thieves looking for unprotected devices. So as you're communicating with a website somewhere, your IP address gets all the way out to that website. If a hacker can see what that IP address is, then they can turn that around and see if they can gain access to your computer because they have your IP address. However, this says unprotected devices. Is your computer actually unprotected? That's a relative term. The truly unprotected devices are computers that connect directly to the internet with a public-facing IP address. If your computer is in your home and you have an internet service such as Comcast or AT&T or some other internet service that puts a box in your home, that box functions as a router and a firewall so that the actual IP address of your computer is not exposed on the internet, but the IP address of your router is. But that router is not a computer. Now, they might be able to gain access to that router because that router might have some vulnerabilities. It might need to be updated, or it might need to be tweaked so that there is actually the possibility that you have inadequate protection on the router that's in your home, which in the home environment, a router typically also functions as a firewall. Not the best firewall, but yes, a firewall. Malware and phishing. These types of attacks are common and it's difficult to avoid them without protection. Yes, but does a VPN actually provide that level of protection? A little bit, a portion. Now again, back here I'll give you again a disclaimer. I am not a security expert. The field of internet security, computer security, is a highly specialized field. There are people specifically trained in that and have very high level of understanding of how this works. And I am not that person. I'm trying to give you a normal person's level of education on this stuff. So I just made the comment, does a VPN really give you much protection against malware and phishing? Yeah, some. Now the reason why I say that is because if you use a VPN connection to connect to a website that the VPN service knows has malware and phishing elements to it, it'll stop you, it'll block you, or it'll give you some warnings. So there is that level. However, if an email comes to you and you click on a link in that email and that takes you to a website asking you to fill in some information, if the VPN service does not yet know that that website is a bad actor on the internet, then it may not block that. But there's a fairly decent chance that they'll get to know the bad websites pretty quickly and start blocking them for their customers. So that is a line of protection. If your computer is currently, at this moment, using the VPN service, then that VPN service is looking at the websites that you go to. Now, keep in mind, that means they're watching what you're doing. Is that what you thought was happening with the VPN, or did you think they were making everybody blind? No, they're watching in the sense of trying to protect you. So sometimes people use a VPN service like what I mentioned before to watch videos that are not available in their country of origin, but the VPN service they find kind of slows things down. So they turn off the VPN service when they're not trying to watch that content. Well, as long as the VPN service is turned off, that means the VPN service is not watching for these malware and phishing websites that you might go to. So, but it's on you to understand what purpose are you using the VPN service for. If you want them watching, what you're doing so that they can protect you, then you have to always be using the VPN service. Then identity theft. If you don't use security software, you might end up getting your login credentials stolen. Well, what is their place in that? If there's a hacker in your building that's able to be between you and the internet router that you're connecting to, there's a potential they might be able to monitor your traffic. But even then, your login credentials are encrypted from the moment it leaves your computer to the moment that it arrives at the website that you're connecting to. Really, the place that login credentials get stolen is by data breaches from companies or websites where they've been hacked and the security credentials data is stolen from them. VPN's not going to protect you from that. So I'm struggling to see where are they going to protect identity theft. The only way I could see it is, again, if you're going to a website, a phishing website. Let's say you get an email that says, you have been charged $340 for XYZ product, and you say, I've never ordered that product, and they have a link on there for you to click on to cancel the order or check on your order or get a request a refund, something like that. You click on that, and that takes you to a phishing website. They want you to enter your I've seen this happen. They want you to enter your Microsoft login credentials. They want you to put in your email address for your Microsoft account and your password for your Microsoft account. Or they might be asking you to put in some other credentials. Well, if you've done that through the VPN service may know about that website as being a phishing website. They're phishing for your information. Phishing is spelled with PH over here. So this identity theft, I can only see it in the sense of you clicking on something that's taking you to a bad actor site. But it's not going to protect your identity theft, all scenarios of potential identity theft. Ad manipulation. It's easy for advertisers to influence your behavior and expose all your browsing habits. So when you go to a website, let's suppose you're going to eBay. and you're searching for things on eBay or searching for things on Amazon. So those websites can see what you're searching for. But when you do that, you're logged in with your account with those services. So they know who you are. They're not trying to determine who you are by looking at your internet traffic. So who is? You'd have to be going to a website where you do not have login credentials. You're not signing, you don't have an account with them. You go to a website, maybe you go to a website, oh, I know, like this one that we went to a little while ago. Over here, this PC Magazine. I don't have an account with them, but they saw that I went to look at VPNs, which tells them I'm interested in VPNs. Well, they make money by sending targeted advertising to me. So they can look at my internet traffic and see the IP address of my router and then target advertisement to me. Then probably related to VPNs or other security stuff. So that's how they can get hold of me for advertising. So ad manipulation. It's easy for advertisers to influence your behavior if you expose all your browsing habits. So that website, if I had answered yes to cookies, the potential exists that they could track me after I leave their website. So if they see what else I do, and they could target advertising. But if I'm going through a VPN, they're seeing an IP address that is different every time I go through the VPN. So they can't target advertising to me. Again, as I said earlier, I don't mind targeted advertising. Most people, it seems to be objectionable just because it feels creepy. It's not a person sitting behind a computer watching what you're doing. It's all computers watching you and generating advertising based upon that. So ISP tracking. ISP is Internet Service Provider. In my case, it's Comcast. That's who I pay a monthly amount to so that they provide internet service to me. Without a VPN, your internet provider can collect and sell your data to advertisers. So what they're saying there is that Comcast could watch my internet traffic and what sites I'm going to and collect that information and sell it to advertisers. Well, okay, let's go look at what does Comcast actually do. Now, Comcast's actual parent company is Xfinity, so here I've gone over to Xfinity, and this is their privacy policy. As we go down through their privacy policy, we can find out what they do. We know you care about your privacy and the protection of your personal information. We also know it is our responsibility to be clear about how we protect your information. It doesn't say to be clear that we protect your information. It's to be clear about how we protect your information. We designed this privacy policy to do just that. Explains the type of personal information we collect. So they're admitting that they do collect personal information, and how we collect, use, maintain, protect, and share this information. They do share information. By the way, so does that VPN service. They do share information. It's shown in their privacy policy, but it's not such a bad deal. This privacy policy also tells you about rights and choices you may have when it comes to your personal information. Let's come down here a little bit further. The personal information we collect and how we collect it. To provide you with our services, we collect your personal information. This can include information that does not personally identify you, such as device numbers, IP addresses, and account numbers. Okay, so they consider an IP address, which identifies the router that's in your home that you use to connect to the internet. They consider that IP address to not personally identify you. the traffic certainly identifies the computer it's coming from. It may also include information that does personally identify you, such as your name, address, and telephone number. So they collect that information. We call any information that identifies you personally identifiable information. That's what they call it. They abbreviate that as, looks like capital P, lowercase I, and then capital I. Personally identifiable information has to be PII, but it looks like pill because they're using a capital I. Then they say if you let other people use your Comcast service, they collect that information too. How and when we use information, including for marketing and advertising. So Comcast is letting it be known that they do use my information for marketing and advertising. But a VPN is not going to prevent them from collecting my IP address because they have that. The VPN cannot shield that. But when I communicate with another website, Comcast is only going to see my IP address and the IP address of the VPN service that I'm communicating with. They're not going to see the IP address of the website that I'm trying to access. So even when I'm using a VPN, Comcast can still use my IP address, my name and address, as they have defined in their privacy policy. Now there's a lot more interesting in here, but I think that's going to go deeper into the weeds and take us away from our purpose right here. This was ISP tracking. Without a VPN, your internet provider can collect and sell your data to advertisers. They can still do that. Without a VPN, the thing that my internet service provider cannot do is they cannot see the website that I'm actually connecting to through the VPN. But they still have my information. Price discrimination. Online businesses might show you higher prices if they see you are in a more affluent city. So what they're saying there is the claim is that any site that you go to buy something, they might be showing you a different price based upon what city you're in. I don't think websites such as Amazon or eBay would be trying to do that price discrimination. It'd be a smaller private company website that would be looking at what city you're connecting to them. For somebody connecting from an IP address that is clearly from San Francisco, New York, Chicago, someplace where there's a high cost of living, they might show you higher prices than cities that are smaller or from rural locations. I always stumble over that word, rural locations. So, but is that the reason why you're looking to get to pay monthly for a VPN because you're afraid you're going to be charged a higher price for something that you want to buy? It seems kind of remote that would be your reason for wanting to use a VPN. So secure your digital life. Here we get to the actual cost, $12.95 per month, billed every month. So you could cancel on short notice. Over here you have to commit to 24 months. And you're going to pay $59.76 now, and then each year after that. So these are showing different subscription plans and rates. Then this one, 6 months, you're saving 50%. This one, you're saving 81%. $649 per month, but they're billing that every 6 months at $38.94. So that's basically their plan. You could change this drop down up here to show it in different dollar amounts. For instance, if you were using a VPN right now and you were showing through the VPN that you were connecting from Canada, this would have defaulted to CAD for Canada because they detect that you're connecting from Canada. They showed me US dollars because they were detecting that I was connecting from the United States. Frequently asked questions: how does Surfshark work? We encrypt all the internet traffic sent to and from your device. Well, that's a little bit of a misleading. I cringe at that, because anytime you're at a website that has this lock up here, that means your communication is encrypted. So my communication right now with this website, it is encrypted. And pretty much that has recently, over the last year or two, evolved to almost be required by browsers that every site you go to be encrypted. If it's not an encrypted communication, then you get a warning message about that. You have to click to allow that. Now, when they say we encrypt all the internet traffic, they do actually encrypt a little bit more than what this lock symbol does. Because when you're using a VPN service, whatever you're doing at your computer, it gets encrypted there and then goes through your internet service provider to the VPN service and then out to the website that you're trying to communicate with. So the information, or when you try to go to a particular website address, the address you're trying to get to is not revealed to your internet service provider. That piece of information is encrypted as well. If you're not using a VPN service and you will say that you type in the address bar, in this case surfshark.com, then your internet service provider, in this case my internet service provider, Comcast, they see that I'm trying to go to Comcast. That piece of information is not encrypted. They can see that. If I'm using a VPN, the fact that I'm trying to go to surfshark.com, that is encrypted and not visible to Comcast. Now, once it gets to the VPN service, let's say I use a VPN site in Germany, well, then that piece of information is unencrypted and it is sent to the surfshark.com along with the other information that's encapsulated and encrypted. But from the VPN service to Surfshark, the fact that I'm trying to go between those 2 points is not encrypted. The content within that communication is encrypted. So any information that I've entered, any screen displays they're sending back to me, that's all encrypted so that those intermediate points, including Comcast, can't actually see that content. We encrypt all the internet traffic sent to and from your device. So yes, they are encrypting more than what would be encrypted if you weren't using a VPN. Also, we hide your IP address to make sure nobody can see what you do online. Well, nobody? That's not really true. When the communication leads from me to the VPN site, the IP address between those 2 points is not encrypted. It's not secret. Comcast knows the IP address that I'm at, and it knows the IP address that the VPN site is at. But Comcast cannot see the IP address of the website that I'm actually trying to go to. Then, when the VPN site communicates with the website that I'm trying to talk to, that website cannot see my IP address. They only see the IP address of the VPN connection. What I actually do on that website, that website can see it, and any points between that website and the VPN site, well, they can only really see that I am communicating. They can't see the content of that because the content within that communication is encrypted. So, how they word this. We encrypt all the internet traffic to and from your device. Also, we hide your IP address from the website that you're going to so they can't see it, to make sure nobody can see what you do online. Yeah, that's a little bit of there's some nuances in that. On top of that, we block ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts. So what that is they are watching the content of the traffic that goes through to block ads, trackers, malware, and phishing. But hold on, if that website that you're communicating with is encrypted, if it has that lock symbol, then the VPN cannot see the contents within it. They're only going to be able to block the stuff that is not encrypted and is ads or trackers or malware or phishing attempts. Okay? So this sentence, they said, on top of that, we block, keep clicking this wrong. We block ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts. True or not true? I'm trying to highlight that. Yes, it is. Yes, it is true, but not 100% true. It doesn't say we block all ads, all trackers, all malware, all phishing attempts. If they block some, can they make that claim? Sure. Yes. It's a fair claim. Yes, they do that. But most people, when they read that, they're going to think that that means they block all of them. Can I try Surfshark for free? Yes. Which devices does it work on? A whole bunch of them. Unlimited number, one account. How do I know Surfshark can be trusted? We work under the jurisdiction of British Virgin Islands, which is a perfect place to guarantee that our strict no logs policy. Also, we are one of the few VPNs which completed an independent security audit with no security issues found. Which basically just means the audit confirmed that they do what they claim that they do. The catch is, it's easy to read this stuff and think that they're claiming more than what they're actually claiming if you're not looking close enough. Okay, so then to go into the weeds even deeper, this is the Surfshark Terms of Service. I've looked through this pretty thoroughly and I did not find anything of substantial alarm here. But it does make reference to their privacy policy. Terms of Service is different than privacy policy. So let's go to privacy policy. What information is collected? How does our website interact with third-party services and content? What information do we share with third parties? What choices do you have over how your information is used? How can you edit? Does our website respond to do not track signals? That one's interesting. How do we secure information? Really, the ones that I found interesting were these up here. So when we click on what information is collected, that's going to take us down to this section right here. So we can just scroll down through all of this. The areas that are shown in blue at the beginning of each section gives you a summary of the black text. So what information is collected? Surfshark respects your policy. British Isles, we do not collect IP addresses, browsing history, session information, used bandwidth, connection timestamps, network traffic, or other similar data. That's a significant amount of stuff that they do not collect. By contrast, Comcast does collect some of that. Then personal information. We do need to keep the information you provide when you're creating your account, though. Usually we ask for your email address, basically basic billing information. It's the only way we can make sure your account works. So user's email address and encrypted password. So they use our email address and they hold on to that. Oh, well, now we should go up here. We need your email address to create and manage your account to provide customer service, whether it's responding to a request or following up on an order, and to market products and services that may be of interest to you. So when you sign up for an account, that's enough right there. They're going to use your email address to market products and services that may be of interest to you. This is the VPN service doing this. If you're using a VPN service because you want less targeted marketing, this kind of defeats that. Basic billing information, order history. We click basic billing information, payment amount, currency, date of the payment, order history to process your orders. We also support anonymous payment, including cryptocurrency. If you make payment using third-party providers, all the payment data you provide will rest with them to understand what personal information the payment service providers. Please refer to the respective providers' terms and privacy policy. So for instance, if you use PayPal to pay this, then they're not going to be holding that same information because that information resides with PayPal. And there's information that they collect for diagnostic purposes. They collect aggregate performance data, frequency of use of our services, unsuccessful connection attempts, other similar information. Let's see, that data does not contain uniquely identifiable information. We use tools like Google Analytics to keep our website working and to do marketing. They do marketing. Okay? Now this is related to their website, but it's also related to their apps. So we're concerned about mainly their apps. The information we collect on our website may include anonymous traffic data provided by the host or similar provider of such information, such as Google Analytics. That does not personally identify you, but may be helpful for marketing purposes or for improving the services we offer. They explain analytics is the process of collecting, analyzing, reporting aggregate data. This may include which pages visitors visit and how long visitors may stay on a particular page. Now that could seem alarming because we thought they were not collecting that information. But this has to do with how long you go to a particular page on their website, not the websites you're trying to go to using their service. So they are doing the exact type of marketing tracking that their service prevents other sites from tracking you. A little bit of a what's the word? Hypocritical thing there. They're trying to protect other websites from watching your behavior, but they're going to watch your behavior when you go to their website. Let's see. Let's go look at this one. When you use our app, now this is not their website. When you use our app, that means the VPN. The VPN service is their app. We may collect advertising identifiers, unique, user-resettable IDs for advertising provided by third parties. Advertising IDs are used for marketing purposes, and user analytics are not connected to users' personal information. You can reset your identifier or opt out of personalized ads by adjusting your device settings. Okay, this paragraph right here confirms that this advertising ID can be used, and they are using, to send personalized advertisement to you. That advertising ID just doesn't know your actual name, address, or phone number, but it still can send targeted advertising to you. So for some people, that's still going to be that creepy idea that they are watching what you do. Next paragraph, when you permit us through a pop-up within our app, meaning when you're using their app to make a VPN connection, they're going to have their own pop-up. I thought we were trying to eliminate pop-ups. They're going to use their own pop-up within their app. We collect your location data. They're going to collect where you're located. In particular, only Wi-Fi name. That's a little bit of a English as a second language problem there. We collect your location data. In particular, only Wi-Fi name. In particular, only your Wi-Fi name? Is that what they meant to say? So the Wi-Fi name in your home, in your office, whatever you're connected through, they're going to collect that name for the purpose of enabling Auto Connect feature, which extends to trusted Wi-Fi networks. This feature allows our app to automatically connect to a server without your worry about it. There's another English as a second language problem. However, please rest assured that we do not share this location data to any third party. This paragraph's okay. That's all right. They're going to display a pop-up message within their app asking if the app can remember the Wi-Fi that you're currently located to, so that next time you come to that Wi-Fi, that app will automatically connect you to their VPN system. That sounds probably okay. But keep in mind, this is still something they're doing of watching your activity, watching what you're doing. Are you okay with that? If you're attracted to the VPN service because you didn't want anybody watching what you're doing, well, here they're going to be watching for the purpose of improving your enjoyment of their service. So then they go into cookies and web beacons. They tell us a little bit about what a cookie is. You can turn off all cookies in the event you prefer to not receive them. So this is telling us that by default, cookies are active. So if you buy this service and one of the things that you wanted is to not have tracking cookies, you have to learn how to use their service and go in and turn that off. This implies that it's on by default. You can also have your computer warn you whenever cookies are being used. Now that's not a function within their app. That's making an adjustment on your computer. There are also software products available that can manage cookies for you. Please be aware, however, that when you choose to reject cookies, this choice may limit the functionality of the website and you may lose access to some of its features. These are things you can do without paying for a VPN service. You can do this in your browser itself to disable cookies. Then a web beacon is an invisible pixel-sized graphic image on a web page, web-based document, or email message. It helps us do things like view the URL of the page on which the beacon appears and the time the website, document, or email in question is viewed. They can be used to confirm the receipt of and response to our emails, including those that you forward to friends and family, and they help deliver a more personalized online experience. Okay, what they're saying here, they're telling us about their use of cookies and web beacons. So web beacons, they put a little tiny pixel, single pixel, it's a dot. It's probably the same color as the rest of the background, so you can't see it. They put this pixel on a web page that you visit or in an email that they send you. And when that pixel, along with that page, gets displayed on your computer, it phones home. It tells them that you are looking at that page. This is what they are telling you that they do. They send you an email and you forward it to a friend, relative, whatever. That pixel is still on that email. When the friend you send that email to displays that email on their screen, it phones home. It tells shark, that email message or a web page, if they've clicked on a web page, then it tells them the time the actual email is viewed. So if you want to use a VPN because you think it's creepy that somebody's watching you, this VPN service intends to watch you. And they're telling you that in their privacy policy. How does our website interact with third-party services and content? It takes a village to keep a VPN up and running. We need third-party tools and services for things like marketing, payments, live chat, and so forth. Since these don't belong to us, we urge you to read their terms and policies on their sites. We use third-party service providers to help handle parts of our business. These parties will only use the minimum amount of your data as specified above in Clause 1 for the purpose of carrying out the work as agreed with us. Such service providers are marketing service providers. We use them to manage our contacts and automate our marketing. They use this third-party service that they're not in control of the privacy policy of that third-party service. They use them to market stuff to you. Third-party payment processors. They help us to process payments. So if you use your credit card on their website, when you click on that link to make the payment, that's a third party where you're entering the information about your credit card. And the privacy policy of that service is in effect. And we haven't looked at that. Storage ad infrastructure providers and ad service providers, they help us to deliver targeted advertising to the website visitors. So that has to do with people going to the website, not when you're actually using the VPN service. Live chat and support service providers, we use them to provide live chat technology. So that's if you're going through their online help system and using their chat system. That's a third party. Third-party service providers, we work with them to provide improved security and performance. So that would be, security service providers. Remember that they claim that they can block phishing attempts and malware attempts. Well, that would be because they're using third-party security services to evaluate the content of those packets of information that are being sent from the website that you're visiting back to you. They're monitoring that, looking for identifiers that tell them that this is phishing or malware or some other unwanted actor. So that is handled by a third party, not by this VPN service. Then we get down here, what information do we share with third parties? Now their summary is almost exactly the same length as the actual detail. The summary says, can't share much when you don't really collect anything beyond what's strictly necessary. We strictly do not disclose what little we do have unless a court order may order us to. Our warrant canary page will display if we're ever asked to do so. Now I looked at this earlier. When you click on this, it goes to their warrant canary page, and they show there that they've never been asked. They've never received a summons. Summons, warrant, whatever it is. As you probably already understood, we do not have much information to share. Well, they have your name, address, phone number. No, that was Xfinity. They have whatever information you provide them to sign up. Even so, we do not disclose your information to others unless we are ordered by a court of competent jurisdiction. Okay, here, what choices do you have over how your information is used? You can opt out of marketing emails, okay? So the default is you're opted in. But we do need to keep your address so that we can send you a reset link for your password in case you ever forget it. Feel free to opt out of cookies And you don't do that through their service. You do that through your web browser. So you can opt out if you choose to. But the point there is you're doing this for privacy, and you have to learn how to use their system, how to tweak it to achieve the level of privacy that you want. Edit or delete your information. Do not track signals. Oh, this is interesting. The website does not, they're saying currently it doesn't respond to do not track signals. You can tweak your specific browser settings to achieve very similar things. So do not track signals, I think, not confident about this, I think do not track signals is so that if you go to a website and they have some of these, what was that one that they use for following? My brain's starting to turn to mush. I've been in this too long. Oh, web beacons. I think that's what that do not follow thing does is to prevent a tracking beacon from following you. Okay, that's enough of that. I've really gotten into the weeds here. There is more in there, but the bottom line is that there are caveats to any of the security software available. My personal behavior, I do not use a VPN. For security software, I use Windows Defender. I don't use any add-on third parties because all of these softwares, if you're not going to take the time to learn how to use them, to tweak them, to achieve the level of security that you want, they can actually cause more trouble than benefit. On the internet, we are at risk. When you drive down the highway, you are at risk. When you walk out your front door, you are at risk. When you get out of bed in the morning, you are at risk. There are risks everywhere in life. It is important to understand nothing you do on your computer and on the internet is going to give you full protection. It is possible for your data to get exposed. It is possible for the bad folks out there to do something that may harm you. And what you can do is have ways to recover from things that happen. You can make it harder for the bad guys. For every place that you have an account where you use some kind of a username, usually it's an email address and a password, most websites these days will have a way that you can go into your account settings with them and turn on two-factor authentication. That is the biggest, most significant thing you can do to protect your online accounts. And that's probably the biggest source of privacy violations that could be encountered. For instance, let's suppose you use VPN service. You pay them a monthly fee. Let's suppose you also use a third-party antivirus product. And you might put in some other protections. But if your email account uses the same password that you use on your eBay account and on your gym membership account and on your JCPenney account, and then any one of those companies have a data breach, they now have your email address and your password that you use across those multiple sites. They will now start using that email address and password combination at every location that they think you might have an account. And if you have used the same password on multiple accounts, no matter how complex it is, they could get into your account and then start accessing your information, sending spammy emails or phishing emails to people that are in your contacts list. They might actually try logging into your bank account and transferring money to their own accounts or to some money laundering account that they have access to. If they get into your contacts list that's in your email account, are they going to find other accounts and passwords that you have stored in there and be able to gain access to those accounts? Really, if you have not yet gone to the step of creating unique passwords on each of the accounts that you have and enabling two-factor authentication, then paying monthly fees to somebody else to get an incremental amount of protection isn't really significant. If you haven't taken the time and energy to do this amount of protection, which is your own efforts with securing your accounts, then what's the point of paying a monthly amount to get a certain limited range of data protected? Yeah, that's a pretty good summary of where I stand on this. Now, all those different passwords, a password manager helps a lot with that. I think I've got other videos out there, or I'm happy to make videos on LastPass or other password managers. Even your browser has the capability of remembering passwords. But if you don't have your browser protected with a strong password, then you're actually exposing all of those account passwords to the bad guys if they get access to your browser credentials. Boy, that has gone long enough. It's been an hour and almost 12 minutes. I just feel like there's a whole lot more on this topic. The information age that we're in is very complex. There's a lot to it. I'm sorry about that. It just is. That's the way it is. What I do on my YouTube channel, ideally, what I'd like to be doing is to provide free computer support to people. The way I do that is I connect remotely to your computer. We are face-to-face during a Zoom session. I fix whatever problems you have or teach you whatever that you want to learn about during a YouTube live stream. This provides the capability for other people to watch the work I'm doing and validate that I'm being responsible and ethical in how I'm assisting you. The reason I can do that for free is because when I create videos, it's my belief and by my research that other people will benefit by watching those videos, and they will be able to learn more about how to interact with their computers. And when my YouTube channel reaches a certain level of viewership, then advertisers will pay me because of the content that I've created that cause people to come and watch those videos. So that puts me into the advertiser supported arena as well. That's what a lot of the internet is. So the way to do that is send an email to DougBetts@LiveWindowsTraining.com. Give me an idea in the email what you'd like help with, and we'll put it together. So I hope this video has been useful to you. Have a great day. See you later. Goodbye.